Garcia, well, in the ongoing effort to get the homeless off the streets, charities around the country and right here in San Diego are multiplying.
But the number of homeless people is growing as well, leading some to ask the question, are the charities themselves to blame? Our own Chris Salcedo takes a look at what some say could be a viable solution.
Angie, John, some critics say members of the homeless population are better traveled than the average American, staying in homeless shelters in every town they pass through and being counted over and over again by the National Coalition for the Homeless. It's just one of the problems we uncovered when we took a look at the homeless industry. You see them every day.
God bless you. Thank you.
And if you're feeling really generous, you'll donate $1 or $2. When you give directly to a transient, it's usually no secret how they'll spend the money.
I'd probably buy me something to eat and get me a beer.
But what happens when you go through a charitable organization? Does your money reach the people that need it most?
The fact that, we have a homeless industry is proof enough to me that it's not being run properly.
We'll get you on here real quick. And what do you want to talk to Rick about today? Okay. Rick Roberts has been studying the homeless problem for the last 8 years.
I think once you crunch the numbers, and once you distinguish between the truly homeless, once you make that distinction, I don't think this giant homeless problem is going to be nearly so big.
But it is big, at least according to the charities that help the needy. St. Vincent de Paul has an annual budget of $25 million. 25% of that comes from government donations, your tax money. The rest from private donations.
No beds, no funding. Lots of homeless people, lots of funding. That's how it works.
Roberts believes a lot of charities are sheltering people with various problems like drug addiction.
I'm not done. I said I want to hit.
Or alcoholism. Or someone that never learned personal responsibility and then lumping them together and labeling them homeless. Critics say the end result, a charitable industry enabling people, making it easy to get a free ride.
He's done a lot of great things. No one takes that away from him. He has a huge business. It runs on the back of the homeless people.
He is Father Joe Carroll, and in San Diego, his name is synonymous with the word charity.
We're not enabling him. He's already a drug addict. We're doing is keep him alive until he makes that choice to get off the street.
But some argue the needy have no incentive to make that choice, especially if charities like St. Vincent de Paul keep meeting their basic needs.
The homeless condition should be just that, a temporary condition.
Roberts believes commercials like this
give me your car, your boat, your plane, because I'll change lives.
deceptively tug at our heartstrings, causing us to reach for our wallets.
Are you into fundraising or people raising?
Bob Cote is the director of Step 13, a homeless program based out of Denver, Colorado. He's receiving national attention for his efforts to change the charity industry.
Mr. Cote, thank you very much.
Step 13 is a transitional living shelter for street people that are into a dominant alcohol or drug addiction. You don't have to be an alcoholic or a drug addict to come there as long as you abide by the rules. Submit the urinalysis test once a week, and you have to work. Work works. Everyone there works.
He took the wrong approach. I'll give you a meal, I'll give you clothes, I'll give you a job. If I can't read, I can't do the job. We designed a program to succeed. And it takes time, it takes patience, it takes dignity.
Although not everyone agrees with Cote's style, he still believes he has one ingredient that's key to his recipe for success.
I'd like to see shelters split up like a pie.
Cote had a proposal that went through the Colorado legislature called PIES, or People in Economic Stress.
You would take the single mothers with children, put them in one shelter, say number 7, and then the alcoholics and drug addicts, put them in shelter number 4, right on down the line. Instead of when you throw them all together under this one roof with all of these problems, what you have is a zoo, and children shouldn't be exposed to that type of atmosphere.
With shelters split up, Cote believes people will get help tailored to their needs.
You need to, do more than treat them like a stray pet. Give them a bowl of food and pat them on the head and say, see you tomorrow.
All I'm saying is stop using the word homeless as a broad brush to cover all these different projects, because you're not being honest with people.
Now, Father Joe says that housing people with various needs isn't a problem as long as the facility is managed properly, though does admit the language of the industry needs to change. And we acknowledge that Father Joe has done a lot of good here in San Diego, and as a news station, we've covered his activities extensively. However, Step 13 believes St. Vincent de Paul and charities like it could do much more. Angie, John?
Gracia. Well, on Friday, we aired a story right here on Fox in the Morning that stirred up some controversy. We received numerous calls on Chris Salcedo's piece called Homeless, Inc. The piece centered on some charities operating like businesses, and one of those looked at was the St. Vincent de Paul Village operated by Father Joe Carroll. Radio talk show host Rick Roberts was one of those interviewed, and he feels that some charities do not help those who are really in need, in essence, enabling them to get a free ride. Bob Cote runs the program called Step 13, which helps those in homeless shelters help themselves by working while getting clean or being denied help. This method is unlike, in the eyes of Rick Roberts, the charity run by Father Joe.
Step 13 is a transitional living shelter for street people that are into a dominant alcohol or drug addiction. You don't have to be an alcoholic or a drug addict to come there as long as you abide by the rules. Submit the urinalysis test once a week, and you have to work. Work works. Everyone there works.
He took the wrong approach. I'll give you a meal, I'll give you clothes, I'll give you a job. If I can't read, I can't do the job. We designed a program to succeed. And it takes time, it takes patience, it takes dignity.
He's done a lot of great things. No one takes that away from him. He has a huge business. It runs on the back of the homeless people.
Cote says those being helped by charity should be sheltered in different groups and separated for the purpose of helping them with their specific needs.
Now, I'm sure this topic spurred some spirited debates around San Diego. I know it did here at Fox 6. In fact, so spirited I was asked, what's your point by telling this story? In essence, we found it interesting. Not only was someone saying they had a better way to deal with the growing homeless problem, but Step 13 was also saying that our charities shared part of the blame. Now, are they correct? Well, at Fox 6 News, our mantra is we bring you thought-provoking stories that enlighten and stimulate debate. And on that note, we continue on that topic this morning by having an open discussion between both sides of this issue. And we welcome your emails as well. Joining us here to talk about this morning is a man whose name is synonymous with charity, and you saw him in my piece, Father Joe from St. Vincent de Paul Village, and Rick Roberts, our guest every Friday morning from 760 AM radio. And joining me is also our own John Elliott. Welcome, gentlemen.
Welcome.
Good. Be here.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
And Rick?
Good to see you, John.
Earlier in the week, but we appreciate it. All right, now, what are we really saying with this? Are we in any way alleging that Father Joe is, are we saying that Father Joe is not doing people right by the way he's operating his charity? What are we saying?
Well, if that question is directed at me, as I said during Chris's piece, no one can take the good things away that Father Joe does. I mean, he's an icon in the forgive me, Father, homeless industry. The fact that we say it's a growing homeless problem, we see that every year. The budgets get bigger every year. The so-called numbers get bigger every year. That ought to be enough to tell us that whatever we're doing is not proper to get rid of the homeless problem. In my mind, as I said in the piece, the homeless condition ought to be a temporary situation. It ought to be a bad place to be, someplace you don't want to go back again. I don't think you help anyone by giving them something without requiring something in return, which is a bit of personal responsibility.
See, and again, people quote things about St. Vincent's that's just not true. Number one, we don't give you something without requiring something. We're the largest rehabilitation program in the country. We have an 82% success rate of returning families to putting them back together again. 69% success rate with single men and single adults. We're the largest drug rehab program in the city of San Diego. So, I mean, we're doing the rehab. What some people do is they like to take one part of the program. Like I could take one part of one show on Fox and show that Fox is decrepit because you took one little thing. But if you take the totality, and that's what I think people need to do, is to come down and see the totality of what we do. You know, we give a free meal out. That sounds like, well, so you're not requiring them to do anything. That's true. But that's my gimmick to get them on the property. That's my gimmick to get them to begin to trust us. And from that, there's all kinds of rules to get residency, all kinds of rules to keep the residency. You got to go to all kinds of classes, therapy, counseling. You got to bring about change in your life, or you don't stay there. And so you do one thing to bring them into the program. And you got, Step 13, which is typical in many cities. A guy sets up a 25-bed shelter, doesn't get the publicity, doesn't raise the money to say...
Father Joe, forgive me, that's not fair and it's not accurate. It's
Well-
not fair and it's not accurate. It's not about publicity. It's about a man that's been on the streets himself. He's been in the turnaround shelters where you go in, you get, as he said, a pat on the head, a bologna sandwich, that you get out at 6 in the morning so they can clean the place and they come back. Now, you know, if indeed...
Yeah, but
if
that's where he's been.
Okay, well, no, just a second.
But he should say everybody's bad because he went to one bad experience.
No, see, everyone is taking this personal as though everyone's
No, I'm
coming
not
down
taking
on
it personal.
St. Vincent de Paul.
I'm looking for
we're
accuracy.
we're talking about a homeless industry here. That's what we're talking about. And if indeed there are all these rehabilitative programs and all of these wonderful things going on, why don't we see those in the ads for St. Vincent de Paul instead of the little child with a crayon? We're going to have to turn these people away. Why turn them away? How about knocking out the street punks or getting rid of the drug addicts and making room for those
But if
people?
you watch all our ads, you'll see a guy saying, thank you for my computer program. You'll see another single male saying, thank you for my drug rehabilitation. We do ads that have children. We do ads that have single adults. But the reality is most people, because of shows like yours, sometimes think it's all a drunken bum. Come down there. I got 400 children in my shelter.
Well, I know
400
I know
kids.
how many people you have in your shelter. I've seen your numbers
I
from
know.
98 to this year, and nobody is going to take away from you that, yes, I'm making an impact.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for goodness sake, Father, I mean, San Diego is fast becoming the Club Med for street punks throughout the nation.
Not true at all.
It is
Not
true.
true at all.
It
That's
is
a
true.
ridiculous statement. Ridiculous statement.
Well, why do the numbers
Every
keep going up? Why do the numbers keep going up
Because
every
rents
year?
went up in this. Because number one, you never heard that from me. For 5 years, the numbers went down in San Diego. They've gone up the last 2 years.
Yes.
Because of the increase of rents, the increase in the electric bill. Take a look at my center now. You'll see more people in wheelchairs than ever before. Why? Because they run fixed income. They can't live in the rents that we have in San Diego now.
What-
So you'll see
what-
the changing environment causes homelessness. And what we
Well-
try to do is to get people stabilized so they get back onto that market.
Okay, Father.
But that's what you're seeing happen. So to say to me, you've never heard Father Joe Carroll saying the number's been increasing until the last 2 years, and that's a reality, because tonight I'm housing 1,800 people. Last year I didn't house 1,800 people. So reality is the numbers are growing all over America. If you do stories in New York, Washington, D.C., you'll see the same news stories saying the numbers are increasing. That's a reality. To say we're creating it because it's an industry, that's not true.
Well, it is true.
No, it
is
isn't true. That's a lie.
No, it's
We're
not.
not creating the
Now,
industry.
James, I
We're not
heard-
creating the industry. We're responding to the need of the community that the cities are finding, that communities are finding, and saying we need to find more places to put people. And so we work with those communities. And it is an industry, like everybody else. If you don't run it like a business, it's bad news.
Now, Bob,
but you
I'll
don't
tell you,
create the customer. But we don't create the customer.
That's
But Bob, go
inherently
take.
why
What
it
do you want to say
doesn't
about
work.
Bob?
Bob Cote from Step 13 couldn't be here, flying in from Denver, of course. He outlined a scenario for me, something that Step 13 has been doing for the last 12 years. It's a coupon program that he has been doing. What they do is they pass out a coupon. Actually, let me backtrack here for a second. He was asked by a women's group that he was speaking to, you know, we're inundated with people in the malls asking us for money. You know, what do we do? So he came up with this program. The coupon states, I'll give you shelter, I'll give you a job, and I'll give you a meal. He's passed out 100,000 of these coupons over the last 12 years. And venture a guess at how many he's actually had redeemed at his place. 28 out of 100,000 coupons passed. He attributes that to, you know, why would they want to come and get a job when they can get a meal and their basic needs met without any accountability?
Or
And-
they can
and
go
he
to
showed
other
me.
shelters. Nothing against St. Vincent, St. Paul. They can go to other shelters where they don't have to work and the weather's better. I mean, that's the fact.
But they don't move out here because the weather's better, because otherwise every homeless
Well, they
person in New
do
York would be
too.
out here. No, it's not true.
Oh,
It's
there
not
is no
valid.
migration of street people.
Minimum.
No, that
There's-
is absolutely
It's
false.
a percentage. For every 1,000 people we get in San Diego that move out here or visit us, you will get 2 or 3 homeless. The fastest growing homeless population in America is Las Vegas. Fastest growing population is Las Vegas. Fastest growing heart condition is Las Vegas. Fastest growing cancer population is Vegas. It's part of a population. It's 0.5% of the city's population be homeless on any given day. The weather has very little to do with the homeless population, has a lot to do with the population in general. And as your population increases, you get a certain amount of homelessness.
And who are we talking about here when we talk about homeless?
Well, first off, panhandlers are not homeless, in my opinion. I've always said, don't ever give the panhandlers, but feel guilty enough to send me a check. I think that's important. But the important thing about panhandlers is they're not really homeless. Most of them live in downtown hotels across America. They're in it for the business. San Diego has done those coupon things. San Diego has done those coin things. 15 years I'm involved with homelessness. I've always argued it's a waste of time to do that. That's an insult to everybody's intelligence. It doesn't work. What you have to do is bring them in through invitation, because in America, we believe in freedom. And so we have had to learn you can't force people into rehab. You have to bring them in with invitation. The free meal brings them to St. Vincent de Paul property. All of a sudden it gets cold like it is now, and you're predicting rain tonight. They say, how do I get a bed? Then they get a set of rules like this here little sheet. And they tear it up. I didn't expect that from homelessness. They tear it down. And then it gets cold and wet, and they pull it out, and they say, okay, I can live with these rules. Then they say, I want to stay here longer. Well, there's another set of rules. And that's what St. Vincent de Paul operates under, is I've got to invite you in, and then I got to slowly but surely get you to agree to our therapy. You can't start saying to a person in need, a person who's got all kinds of mental problems, alcohol problems, drug problems, emotional problems, educational problems, you got to go through this thing quick. Takes 2 years. We got the patience. We have a program that requires dignity. It has rules. Ask the people who live there. I wouldn't live under those rules. I'm a grown-up adult. I moved out of my house when I was 17 years old because they didn't like rules. But they have to obey rules. They have to do work. They all have to do chores. They have to do the laundry. They have to do the maintenance. They have to serve the meals. Everybody earns their way at St. Vincent. Initially, it's free, but once we get you in, you work your butt off.
We're running out of time, and I want to get Rick Roberts a chance to respond to that, and then we have to move on.
Well, hey, if indeed that's what you want to contribute to, that's what you should contribute to. I agree with one thing Father Joe said. The panhandlers are not homeless people. Drug addicts are not homeless people. Alcoholics are not homeless people. Street punks are not homeless people. They don't deserve my disposable dollar until they prove that they want to change their lives. I don't personally think setting up a homeless industry where you've got 2 years to get it together makes a lot of sense. I think if indeed a drug addict wants to get clean, they get clean because they want to get clean, not because anyone is urging them to do that. Father Joe's done some wonderful things. No one discounts that for a moment. But there are different ways to approach the so-called homeless problem.
I don't know why we can't have Step 13 and Father Joe working together. And my question to Rick is, what would it take to make you happy? What do you want? Do you want just a disclaimer?
Well, John, with all due respect, it's not about making me happy.
No, I'm just curious.
It's about putting something else on the table and saying, hey, let's look at this without the sky falling, people thinking,
Father
oh my
Joe,
God, we're getting...
You're not stopping that, though, are you? I mean,
no. See, Step 13, what I maintain is, what he's done is said, I'll make my reputation attacking the status quo. Present your case. In other words, he has one approach, present it. Look what he said the other day. He said the other agencies are enabling. That's an accusation.
No, it's a statement of fact.
No, it isn't. It isn't true.
If
he makes
you
a
don't
blanket
require
statement.
somebody to do something when they walk in,
he's just saying that
after a period of time you do.
Because that's what we found.
That's the way you think it works. And what I'm saying, your way may not be the only way.
And we said we agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We agree with that. We support other agencies that do it different than we do.
Well, you can't support someone if you're bad-mouthing him and saying, well,
No,
they're trying to get their reputation, they're trying to do this.
I did not badmouth
Well,
them.
Father Joe, I'm sorry, there are other ways to handle this.
I disagree with his position that he blankets all agencies except his approach is right. And we're saying that's not true. We've been attacked for 18 years by groups all over the country, none of whom are running shelters today, or they're running very small ones. He mentions you shouldn't mix populations. Okay, some people agree with that. We're able to do it. We have families, single men, single women, all mixed together. But it's how you manage the program. It works.
Well,
we're successful.
I think if
we change people's lives, and that's what the issue is all about.
If you build an industry the size that you have built with the so-called homeless situation, you may have enough staff to do that. I'm saying
exactly. That's the name of the game. You got to have enough staff to make people change their lives. You got to motivate them. But more important, when you motivate people, you got to say to them, and I can help you by getting your high school diploma, getting the counseling, getting the medical care. But if I say to them, I'm going to motivate you, but then I'm not going to help you, it's a waste of time, a waste of money.
And gentlemen, unfortunately, we're not going to hammer this out in the 10 minutes that we've been allotted here. But I want to thank you, gentlemen, for coming by.
I want to thank you, and I want to wrap it up. And I can't put a bow on this, but a study was released over the weekend that during the Clinton administration, the three big networks donated, or dedicated rather, 1 minute a week to issues concerning the poor. I just think this is very healthy, that we have started dialogue. Obviously, Chris and I had heated words. Yes. You can understand. These guys have words. Yeah. We're going to have words. I shake your hand. Sure. I shake your hand in thanks, and I shake your hand in thanks. And I think it's good that we're talking.
Actually, Father Joe and I are going to be out in the parking lot later. That's 2 out of 3.
Right. Krispy Kreme is headed your way. Thank you. Right now, we're going to go right back to Angie with a look ahead.